On a radio show, our colleague explained that he never feared for his safety during the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. But make no mistake, under different circumstances, he would have been afraid. He said, and I quote now, "Had the tables been turned," now, Joe, this will get me in trouble, "had the tables been turned and President Trump won the election and those were tens of thousands of Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters, I might have been a little concerned." Is that not racism, Mr. President? And I don't think the senator is ignorant of the fact that for centuries in this country, white supremacy has thrived on using fear to justify oppression, discrimination, and violence against people of color.
I want you to take a look at this entire clip from Democratic Senator Bob Menendez, as he puts it very plainly that Ron Johnson of Wisconsin is a racist for what he said. Take a listen in to this entire clip.
New Jersey's recognized.
We in the Senate take pride in our decorum and our sense of comedy with each other. So much that we often twist ourselves into pretzels to avoid saying anything that might be interpreted as a criticism of another senator. Yet there comes a time when these verbal gymnastics simply won't do. You're either going to speak the truth or fail to do justice to the values you hold dear. What one of our colleagues said last week about the events of January 6th was felt by many to be racist and hurtful, a stain on the office he is so fortunate to hold. Look, I get no one likes to be called racist, but sometimes there's just no other way to describe the use of bigoted tropes that for generations have threatened Black lives by stoking white fear of African Americans and Black men in particular. On a radio show, our colleague explained that he never feared for his safety during the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. But make no mistake, under different circumstances, he would have been afraid. He said, and I quote now, "Had the tables been turned," now, Joe, this will get me in trouble, "had the tables been turned and President Trump won the election and those were tens of thousands of Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters, I might have been a little concerned." Is that not racism, Mr. President?
Yes, it is.
And I don't think the senator is ignorant of the fact that for centuries in this country, white supremacy has thrived on using fear to justify oppression, discrimination, and violence against people of color. I do, however, think my colleague may be ignorant of the pain caused by his comments and unaware of how they compound the trauma that so many still feel in the wake of the events of January 6th.
Now, to be sure, this is the most polite version possible of telling Ron Johnson that he's a racist piece of excrement. That said, it is not every day that you get to see a U.S. sitting senator actually call one of his colleagues a racist. But this is exactly what Ron Johnson is. And Ron Johnson is trying to back away from it. He's now trying to say that he wasn't talking about Black people. He was talking about, because there are white people who are protesting for Black lives. And then he went on Fox News today and basically said that, hey, I wasn't even talking about the insurrectionists, the treasonous insurrectionists that marched up the steps on January 6th. He said, I was just talking about Trump supporters in general. Take a listen into this.
As well. But I was just talking about the vast majority of people that I know that are Trump supporters that love law enforcement, support law enforcement, would never even think of rioting or breaking the law. And that's the vast majority of people that came here in Washington, D.C., sure to protest legally, to try and put pressure on people like me to vote the right way, but not to storm the Capitol, not to riot.
The right way.
And so, again, it's completely been blown out of proportion. There was nothing racial in my comments whatsoever. The left is happy to use the race card whenever they can. But this is about riots and rioters and leftist activists and anarchists that,
That what, Ron? Okay, so he said he wasn't saying anything racist, and he also said that he wasn't talking, that when he said this comment, that he wasn't talking about anyone but the general population of Donald Trump supporters, right? That's what he's claiming. All right, let's check the record. This is what he's in trouble for.
I knew those are people that love this country, that truly respect law enforcement, would never do anything to break a law. And so I wasn't concerned. Now, had the tables been turned, and Joe, this got me in trouble. Had the tables been turned and...
But one second, he already knows as he's saying this, that this is going to get him in trouble, right? So he knows what he's saying is racist. He knows what he's saying is problematic, but he said it anyway. Let's let him finish.
Trump won the election, and those were tens of thousands of Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters, I might have been a little concerned.
Right. So he's now saying that he wasn't talking about the insurrectionists. He was talking about Trump supporters. But there he is talking about the insurrectionists on the very day that he was supposed to be intimidated, that he wasn't intimidated, rather. And then he said he wasn't talking about black people. He was talking about Black Lives Matter. And there was nothing racist and that we're playing the race card. So Senator Bob Menendez is putting it very, very mildly and very correctly when he lets it be known that this guy is a racist. But here's the thing. Of course we know he's a racist. This is what they do. The reason people, quote unquote, play the race card is because you all are so damn racist all the damn time. Like, you don't have a Republicans do not have a strategy for victory outside of three things: voter suppression, crying about the culture wars, and dog whistles. And now they've seen, because Donald Trump was president and he did what he did for the last 4 years, they could put the dog whistles aside. And they could revel in all of the racist white supremacy that they're used to, because this is the high holy season for bigots in this country, made possible not only by Donald Trump, but made possible by the white supremacist structure of this country. And Ron Johnson of Wisconsin is absolutely part and parcel for that level of white supremacy.